In this video, I'm going to show you how to add additional headers to the mail processing script. One of the most popular uses of email headers is to incorporate the user's email address into a reply to header, because it enables you to reply directly to incoming messages by clicking the reply button in your email program. However, this can easily expose your form to an email header injection attack, so I'll show you how to do it safely. Most headers are likely to be specific to a particular form, so I'm going to start off by adding the additional headers just before I include the mail processing script. So create a variable called headers, and the first header that I will add will be a from header. To separate headers, you need to have a carriage return and a new line character. So that's the escape sequences in a double quoted string. I'm also going to add a header for the content type. So headers and then the combined concatenation operator. And I'll have content type text plain set the character set to UTF-8. Setting the character set to UTF-8 ensures that any accented characters or non-alphabetic scripts will be automatically preserved when it goes through the email system. Now, if you want to add additional headers such as CC and BCC, you of course put a carriage return and new line character there and add them here within the form. But I'm going to put the reply to header inside the mail processing script in mail process PHP. The reason I'm not adding a carriage return and new line character at the end of the last header here is because I don't know whether there will be an email address. At the moment, email is not in the required array, so it's quite possible that somebody won't supply their email address if they don't need to. So let's switch to mail process PHP, and I'm going to add the new script at the bottom of the page. To incorporate the user's email safely into a reply to header, I need to make sure that there aren't any suspect phrases that have been submitted, and I also need to make sure that the email field isn't empty, so create a conditional statement which will begin with if not suspect, and not empty email. And to validate the email address, I'm going to use a PHP filter function and store the result in a variable called valid email. So it will be filter underscore input, and the first argument is all in uppercase, input underscore post. So this tells the function that the input is coming from the post array. The next argument is a string with the name of the post array element that I want to check, and then the last argument again is all uppercase, and it's filter underscore validate underscore email. That's the validation function. And what this filter input function does is it checks the email element in the post array and makes sure that it's a valid format for an email address. If it is, it stores the email address in this variable. If it's not valid, the return value is false. So if I've got a valid result, I want to incorporate that in my headers. So if valid email, and then we add to the headers with the combined concatenation operator. Now, I didn't have a carriage return new line character at the end of the last header, so I'll put it at the beginning of this one. Doesn't matter if it's at the beginning or the end, as long as they are separated. And then reply to and valid email. And if it's not valid, I want to create an element in the errors array, call it email, and set it to true. So let's save that and go back to the form. And in the form we need to make some changes to the error messages. Here's the error message if the email address is missing and is required. We just add it in an else if clause here. And the condition is set errors email. So if that email error has been set, I want to add another span which will have a different message in it. And then we just need to close that curly brace and save that. So now we can test the page in a browser. And if I submit the form without filling in any fields, I'll get error messages for name and comments, but at the moment email is not required. So let's go back to the form and add email to the required array. We save that again and refresh the browser and submit again. This time we get an error with the email if we forgot to fill it in. Let's try something that matches a correct email format. So we no longer get that message and the value is preserved, but if I make it an invalid format and submit again, this time I get invalid email address. So that's how to add additional email headers and incorporate the user's email address in a reply to header without exposing the form to an email header attack.